Good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is really, really early, but it's great to be with you all. A little bit later today, I'm headed over to La Mirada. We're going to separate clothing that has been donated for our Mexico missions. If you didn't know, we go to Mexico every year, several different times, and we donate clothing, food, medical supplies, and so much more to some people who really need our help. It's kind of a way of saying thank you to our brothers and sisters in Mexico for allowing us to fish their pristine and wonderful waters where it is so bountiful and we've caught so many fish over the years. So we'll be over in La Mirada doing that in just a little bit. And when I come back, I'll give you a phone number. If you'd like to help us, you can send a text to my friend Greg. He'll give you all the details, and we'll see you over there in just a few hours at La Mirada. All right, Tom Durr and I went out and looked for local squid. Did we find it? You'll find out who invented the very first squid rig. Who did? I'll have that answer for you. And that big bluefin tuna, man, it is really biting well right now. The nighttime bite can't get much better than it is. We do have some weather on the horizon, and it's not looking good. We'll have all that information, and of course, we'll get you caught up on so much more. Before I say good morning, give us a like. Hit that thumbs up button and give us a like. So many of you do that every single morning, and it really helps us a lot. You know what time it is as you hit that like button. It's time for the morning briefing. Good Tuesday morning, my friends. Oh, delightful. Hey, before we get back to the morning briefing, Sam De La Torre from Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California, with this 100-pound big ridge grouper and his personal best 220-pound yellowfin tuna on board the Royal Star Fishing the Potato Bank. Hey everybody, great to be with you once again here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. It's actually before the sun has even come up. So it is really, really early. But as always, it's great to be with you, and I'll get you all caught up on everything that is going on. If you'd like to come over to La Mirada a little later this morning and help us separate clothing, we're going to put it in girls and boys and men's and women's, and then medical supplies. We'll separate all that. So a little bit later here in the year, we'll be able to go to Mexico and distribute it all. All you got to do is send my friend Greg a text and tell him you're interested in coming over and helping out this morning or even this afternoon. I think we'll be there for a while. Greg's phone number is 714-868-1577. Send him a text and we'll get you over there to have some fun, goof around with us, and do something really good right before Thanksgiving. All right, let's get into the fishing because there's a lot going on. I mean, that bluefin tuna bite is absolutely incredible. Let's start south of the border, as usual, down there with my friends from Bluefin Sport Fishing. I got to love those guys out there on Punta Banda, Baja, California. If you're not familiar with the geography of northern Baja, Ensenada is about a 70-mile drive when you cross the border. So you drive down 70 miles, and then La Bufadora or Punta Banda area is another 20 miles or so. It's a little bit further. You have to go out there, and it's a picturesque, beautiful area that you are absolutely going to love. That's where you find Bluefin Sport Fishing. And man, have they had some outstanding fishing. A good buddy of mine, Javier Lopez, and his wife. There you see Javier with a yellowtail on the iron. He was down there. It sounds like they had really great fishing. Mostly bottom stuff down there right now, but lots of sheepshead and boccaccio and reds and lings. I mean, just copious amounts of great eating, colorful rockfish. And I don't know how you can beat that. It is really, really good. But there are some yellows bouncing around there also, and we are watching that very, very closely. Now, the guys at Bluefin are actually putting on a great event this Saturday that will be down in Punta Banda for. They're going to take care of an orphanage. We're going to bring a lot of clothing and goods down there and participate with Victor and our dear friends for Bluefin, and I salute them for everything they are doing. They are really great people, and we're just so happy to be a part of it. In fact, Albert Ponce, Crystal, and the kids. Hey, you guys, I miss you. I'm going to see you this weekend because, of course, Albert and Crystal and their family would miss an opportunity to give back. So they'll be doing the very, very same. And Greg Bates is coming with us, and we've got a couple of other folks coming with us. It's going to be fun. George Feldman, a couple of other guys. So it's going to be a fun time, and I always enjoy spending times with my brothers and sisters down there in Mexico Lindo. It is always a lot of fun. So you got the fishing down in that neck of the woods. Now, Arnie Sport Fishing on Facebook. That's how you can find him. He's actually right when you come into Ensenada. He's in a little commercial area, and you get in touch with him. He'll tell you how to find him if you want to go out on his ponga, and you should do it because Arnie is also a really great fisherman. They've been catching some jurel down there, some yellowtail also. Not great big fish, but some decent-sized fish. And they're actually on the kelps pretty close to Todos Santos Island. Todos Santos Island is just outside of Ensenada. I think it's about an 11-mile run, something like that, maybe even somewhere around that. I got to figure that out exactly so I can tell you exactly. But it's not very far. And just beyond that, they're finding some kelps with some yellows on it. So that's good news also. Arnie's been catching lots of bottom fish to go along with it. So in general, the guys down in Ensenada, Punta Banda are doing really good. And it's only going to keep going here for the next few days because the weather is gorgeous and it's going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. When it's going to get bad in the forecast at least, and this is a forecast, especially outside in that Bluefin tuna area, which we're going to talk about next. That area is supposed to blow up Saturday through Monday, and it's supposed to get pretty nasty out there. So it might put the kibosh on the fishing. It might not. Some of those long-range boats are able to weather that, no problem at all. But smaller charter boats might have a little bit of problem out there. Along the coast, it's going to be a little breezy also, but we'll see if the boys down there in Ensenada and other guys can hang in there. All right, let's talk about that bluefin tuna because it is on the nibble right now. Here this morning, I heard from the Apollo. Now, yesterday during the daytime, Ricky Carbajal reported into me and said they only had 2 fish. The daytime bite has been iffy, not all that good at all. Some boats have been saying they've been getting some wax in the daytime, but the vast majority are not. It's mostly a nighttime bite. Now, from 2 a.m. this morning until 6 a.m., there was some pretty good fishing going on. Ricky told me they were bit. It sounded kind of frantic to me. And then I haven't heard from them again here, and we're really early, so I think they're putting a score together on board the Apollo. I wouldn't be surprised to see some really good numbers of fish. Now, the Freedom left here last night, and they got out of here with an early departure at 7 o'clock. In fact, you'll see them departing or actually going to get bait in a little video I'm going to play for you here in 1 second. But they should be there on time to get a piece of this also at night, and then they'll be able to fish the next night for some time. We'll see what happens with them. Now, it's been on the jigs, and knife jigs have been really, really good. Flat fall jigs have been good. Daiwa SK jigs. The weight, I saw it for myself on the Relentless. It seemed like that 400 to 600 gram jig was working best. Candy cane was effective, but I got to tell you, I think the color is irrelevant. I think that the glow in the dark is irrelevant. I think that's what is important. Brett Ender will tell you the very same thing. Drop when the captain says drop. Don't be sitting in the galley. Let me just tell you this. Joe Martinez should have had 4 fish. He lost one right there at color. So he had 3 fish on our trip out of 10. Okay, and he would have had 4. Joe is never sitting in the galley. He's on the rail. He works hard. I'm not telling you he doesn't have a high level of expertise, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He does. But he's on the rail. When the captain says drop, he drops. He goes about 50 to 100 feet deeper than the captain says and then winds on it if he doesn't get stopped. Remember, if your jig comes to a stop, you're bit. You're not going to hit bottom out in a million fathoms of water. So keep that in mind, and that's the way to go. And there's been some really good scores. I'll get that in one moment. Another thing I want to mention is we saw a lot of squid in the water, and it's all over the place. So those fish, those bluefin have feed, and there's a lot of blue sharks, and man, that's nostalgia for me because when I was a kid riding on the Pursuit out of Redondo to Catalina Island, you could see hundreds of blue sharks off the bow. Hundreds. Not kidding. And while we didn't see that, we saw more blue sharks than I have seen in a long time. So that is all really, really good stuff. Polaris Supreme finished up a 3-day trip here recently with limits of bluefin tuna, most of it 60 to 120 pounds. Pacific at 25 guys, 79 on the bluefin tuna. Cortez, 10 guys, limits of bluefin tuna with 3 yellowfin tuna. Fortune, limits of bluefin tuna. Pacific Queen, 46 BFT on a 3-day trip. Royal Polaris, limits of bluefin tuna. Royal Polaris said they were catching a lot of fish in the daytime, so that's a little bit new, and hopefully that is something that's going to occur more, because on the Relentless, we literally drove all around all day for absolutamente nada, nothing. And then when the sun started to set, and that's what Captain Mikey on the Relentless told us all, just be patient, it's going to happen. And as we got closer and closer to sunset, we started to see more fish. They started to react more. We started to hang more fish. And then we had some pretty good night fishing, no question about that. So that bite is really good. 200-pound leaders is what you want to fish with. There's some sinker fish in the daytime at times with that rubber band rig. That's a good way to get it done. And trying to get a bite on 60-pound, I wouldn't fish it any less than that. These are nice fish. Really nice fish, and the weather out there is gorgeous. It's going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. I told you Saturday, 10 a.m.-ish, noontime. That's the forecast. It's supposed to get breezy. Sunday's supposed to be very breezy, and it will extend into Monday. But for right now, you've got some nice weather to ride right through Thanksgiving and catch some fish. I assume most of you will be in on Thanksgiving, but one never knows. All right, Tom Durr and I, we went out and we prospected for squid. Tom's crazy about squid, and it was such a gorgeous day. He said, hey, I'm glad you're here working in your podcast studio. Come on, let's go. So this was yesterday. We took off for a little bit. I want to share a little bit with you on that, as well as tell you who the first guy who came up with this crazy idea of a squid jig rig. Who was it? Well, here you go. Find out now. Tom Durr and I took a little ride out of 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California. We were going out to see if there was any local squid around. Tom's boat is cruising along at 30 knots. Saw some nice pods of dolphin on an absolutely gorgeous day. It was beautiful out there, but we didn't find much squid. We did find some old squid boat captains, though, that I know very, very well. And one of those guys actually was responsible for inventing the squid catching rig. You know the rig we all use? See it right there? That's the one we all use to catch squid. That was actually invented by two guys, Corby Jackson and a really good friend of mine, Corby is too, but John Fuqua that you see right there. He was out there on the Fortuna. I had a nice conversation with John. He's a great guy. Got to wish him a happy Thanksgiving. Talk a little squid, talk a little fishing, and of course reminisce about our friendship. It was a lot of fun out there with Tom Durr as always. Seeing John was an extra bonus. And of course, then we headed back to 22nd Street Landing. No squid, which means we didn't catch any bass. Just on time to see the Freedom heading out to get fuel to leave for their day-and-a-half tuna extravaganza later tonight. All right, take care, my friends. We'll see you soon. All right, that was a lot of fun with Tom. Always a barrel of laughs, no question about it. Actually, at one point, Tom was going like 30 knots. And a boat had gone in front of us, so there was a wake, and we hit that, and man, about 5 gallons of water came through that front window and doused him. It was pretty good. I just got a little bit of it. Tom got nailed, man. He didn't have to take a shower for a little while after that. I had to run downstairs, get a roll of paper towels, and watch him dry himself off with the paper towels. Quite humorous, to say the very, very least. Up and down the coast, mostly shallow water rockfish, sculpin, that kind of stuff. Although Nick Ramirez, great kid. He brought his cousin in, I think it was, Alex. They stopped in yesterday when the Monte Carlo got back in here to 22nd Street Landing. And I'll tell you, Alex was not on the trip. He just wanted to say hello, and that was an honor to meet him. But Nick was on there. Nick was so excited, man. He said he had about 10 whitefish, one nice sculpin. He said it was pretty darn good local bottom fishing. Plenty of great eating fish, no question about that. And that is really what we're seeing mostly up and down the coast. Now, when you look at Catalina Island, there's really good bonita fishing going on. The freelance has been there on a fairly regular basis. There's some yellows running around there, but not catching that much. The yachts, the smaller guys, are catching white sea bass over there. There's squid over there, and there's some pretty darn good fishing. And Tom and I yesterday saw seiners heading over to Catalina. That's an indication that something's up. Those guys don't burn the fuel unless they've got some intel. So we'll keep our eyes on that. That could continue to improve. All this market squid, the squid we fish with, is called market squid. All this market squid is a magnet for predators, and I'm telling you, we are going to see an explosion at some point in time. Next week, doubtful. This winter, possibly. Next spring, slam dunk, 100%. Sea bass, halibut, yellows. Should be really a great spring if we can get away from the wind. I mean, if you remember 2022, it was a windy year. I mean, I had a lot of trips canceled. I had to really tough it out in some good hard weather days. And it's not so much that, you can't tough it out. All of us can do that, but it just makes fishing that much more difficult, makes finding fish that much more difficult. The machines don't work as well when you're bouncing up and down like that. So hopefully we'll get away from that and be able to catch some fish. So shallow water rockfish up and down the coast. Islands, you got that pretty much. Santa Barbara Island, there's some big yellows out there. Occasionally you get up and romp and stomp. You can get a piece of that if you're on your private boat. And some halibut and sea bass, not a lot, but a little bit. Halibut, sea bass, a few up there in the Channel Islands. Really good lingcod fishing for some guys. And the other guys are catching copious amounts of bottom fish. Up there in Santa Barbara, same thing. Verges, same thing. Really great rock fishing going on, my friends. All right. Please hit that like button. It means so much to us. It's something you can do to help us out. And once again, if you'd like to meet me in La Mirada, I'll be heading over there in a few hours. I would love to see you. Just send Greg a text at 714-868-1577. Tell him, hey, I want to come over and help you guys this morning or this afternoon. He'll fill you in on all the details. All right, everybody, it is always a pleasure to be with you. If you are out on the water in this bluefin tuna bite, I really am stoked that you got in on a good trip. Don't forget to check out our video that we shot on board the Relentless. There are some extraordinary moments in there, including Huckleberry, one of the deckhands on board the Relentless, trying to lift a bluefin up over the rail. He gets it up to the point where it looks like it's going to fall on the boat, and then it goes the other way. And then it looked like a disaster was looming until Ephraim, a passenger, came to the rescue. Great stuff. And you'll see Jolene Thompson really put the screws to a bluefin tuna with expertise that is so great. You'll see Anthony Amalfitano. You'll see Joe Martinez. You'll see everybody who was on that trip having an extraordinary time. And I thank them all for not only coming, but for starting up some new great friendships with yours truly. All right, hit that like button. I'll see you soon. See you over in La Mirada in a few hours. And as always, I can't thank you enough for everything you do for Friedman Adventures. And I hope to see you, if not in a couple hours, I hope to see you really, really soon.